I'm Elgems and welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here then just welcome. I do Reddit videos. So today we're going to be back revisiting the TrueOffMyChest subreddit. Now the last time that we were on this subreddit we were definitely fed well. We came across probably the most mental story that Reddit's given us in a long time, so if you haven't seen that video definitely check it out because the story was amazing. But while I've got your attention, before we just get into the post for today, I'd like to take a moment to ask you person who's watching this to leave a like on this video, maybe even a comment, and if you like Reddit content then subscribe to this channel and you can get more of these videos. Alright, so moving on to our first post. This was posted by the user AlternativeDig4045 and it's titled, Best Friend 19M of 8 years is ghosting me 19M and I want to end it. So we met way back in middle school, 7th grade, and we've been through a lot. He used to be this kid who was always flunking tests and arguing with teachers, but he's found his passion and moved halfway across the world to the US to pursue it. I've seen him at his worst, his best, and everything in between. We've shared so many inside jokes and pop culture references that at times we predict each other's sentences. He called them brain sinks. Heck, we kept in touch despite the difference in time zones for 2 years. But for no apparent reason he's not been responding to my texts at all. I've sent him maybe 20 plus messages on WhatsApp about me changing my OS to Linux and an anime that I liked. We have spam texted each other before and he usually responds in a day or two if he's busy, and a few on Insta. Last one being, what have you been up to? He's left me on red. Weird part is that I still see him active on Insta at times, and he sent me like 4 posts on Insta DMs, but he hasn't responded to my texts. All this happened over the course of 1 month, with the WhatsApp messages being the earliest. He hasn't said anything like I'm busy or I don't want to talk to you or anything. He's just gone, radio silence, and I don't want to call him. If he can't spare 10 seconds in a whole month to explain this, I don't want to lose my self-respect over it. I'm also kind of hoping that he doesn't respond because it will be the easier way out. I'll grieve in silence and consider it finished, which I'm doing a little bit anyway. I'd say if he doesn't respond in like a month, by the time that college starts in another month or so, I'm deleting his chats and archiving it. I'll consider the friendship done and mourn it properly, but I don't want to block him because I'm still curious as to what happened. We've had our fair share of disagreements and banter, but I didn't cause this, so I simply don't understand what happened now. TLDR, best friend of 8 years has been leaving me on red without explanation for a month, and I'm considering ending the friendship in a month. Okay, this is going to stir a bit of a 50-50 reaction from the crowd. Some people might think that OP's sort of like being over dramatic here, other people may think that he's completely valid. I'm pretty much on the OP's side in this though. I think if OP's friend doesn't fix up, then cutting them off is probably the best response that you could have. And it's like what OP said, like, he doesn't want to lose his self-respect over this. Don't do that. Never chase after people who are doing something like this to you. If someone's not speaking to you and they're not giving you a valid explanation on it, you don't owe them, like, the attention, and you don't owe them you chasing after them, trying to appease them. And bear in mind that OP and his mate are both 19 in this situation, so I think OP's friend is more than old enough to communicate if he's got a problem. I mean, at 19, this guy's travelled to another country from what OP said. He's going to college. He is old enough to turn around and go, listen, you've upset me, or listen, I don't want to be mates anymore. Just ignoring him, but sending him, like, memes and that's so pathetic for someone that age. And the thing is as well, like, if OP has done something that's upset his friend and provoked this, like, ghosting, well, the fact is that OP's not a mind reader, and if the friend's upset with him, then he's got to communicate that. He can't just sit there and ignore him and expect the OP to come running trying to fix things. Oh my god, I actually had a really similar situation to this story as well. I was friends with this girl, and we used to hang out pretty much like every week. We'd text each other like nearly daily. We were like tight as anything, and then one day she just started getting really weird, and like, you know, she'd leave me on delivered for months at a time, and I did ask her multiple times as well through this, like, have I done something? Are we good? Are you good? And every time it was like, yeah, I'm okay. But then, like, she'd just ignore me, so in the end I was like, you know what? You're literally older than me. Like, if you're not going to be mature, then I'm just going to block you. And literally similar to the OP in this story, I was like, I'm not going to chase after you and beg for your attention, which is why I ended up just blocking them, and I think OP doing that's also, like, probably the best solution really, because what on earth ever happened to people and their communication skills? It feels like people just don't communicate anymore. Like, everyone just expects you to be a mind reader nowadays. But back to OP, I mean, it is completely normal and natural for people to grow apart when you take different directions in life. Obviously, like, you're not going to be as close as you were back when you were kids, but I think the OP's friend in this situation is kind of taking a bit of a cowardly way out and just ghosting OP instead of communicating that he may not feel as close to him anymore. So I think OP, don't bother trying to like plead for friendship. You've got like the right state of mind here, I think. But you know, that's just like my opinion and how I would handle it, but you may think completely different. Why don't you comment down below and tell me, like, if you were in OP's situation, how would you approach it? Our next post is by Live Dragonfly 5842 and it's titled, "I'm sick and tired of my sister and me always sharing a birthday." I have no contact with anyone who will listen to me, so I'm just going to say it here. I'm so effing tired of me and my sister having to share our birthday. I'm 17 and my sister is 23, and my whole life me and her have shared birthday parties. Her birthday is June 19th and mine is the 27th. We only have a week separating us, so when there's a party, it always goes to us both. Except a few times where she's had this huge party and I had a day out. Tomorrow's my birthday and I'm turning 18. My parents don't have much money, so we're just going to go out for dinner. But since my parents didn't see her on her birthday because she was out with people, my parents have turned my dinner into our dinner. And I know this sounds like I'm whining, but I'm not done. My sister works, so we have to go out to eat when she gets out. But she works at a store and gets out at about 9 PM. So we're going to the restaurant at about 9:30, and since it's going to be so late, my dad is going into work later so he can sleep and not get home till about 8. I know this may come off as wrong, but it's just so annoying at this point. Like, one year we went to Vegas for her birthday, and the next week we went back home, and I don't think we did anything for me. So yeah, that is how my birthday is always hers too. Oh, this is just really sad. I feel bad for the OP, like, at so many points in this post they're saying like, oh, I know I'm whining, I know I'm being dramatic. Like, they clearly think like their feelings aren't valid because they're like dismissing themselves as just being whiny. And even if they are whining over this, I think it's so valid because your birthday's meant to be special and they're constantly just having to share it and their birthday's being centered around someone else. And I understand and can sympathise with the fact that the parents don't have a lot of money, so maybe like they've always done this so they can try and equally celebrate their kids. Because when you don't have a lot of money, you kind of gotta figure out ways to like cut costs, and maybe like these joint birthday celebrations was their way of doing it. But now it sort of seems like it's divulged into just only celebrating the sister and only doing what she wants instead of celebrating you both in an equal way. And I would be a lot less upset over this if, like, you'd mentioned how these celebrations were very equal, like, they found a way to incorporate things that you both would have wanted, but literally, like what you said in your last paragraph, like, your birthday dinner that was meant to be for you has now been sort of hijacked, and it's all like, oh, well, your sister doesn't get off work till this time, so we've got to go out at this time, we've got to do this for your sister. And that's not right and that's not okay, and it makes it seem like you're their last priority in this situation, when really, like, we're parents who've got multiple kids, like, you should be treating them equally. And there's a comment on this post, and I think it sums up, like, what I'm trying to express way better than I could actually say. This commenter says, "Your parents are effed up, bro. They think they're doing their best by giving the all to their kids, but they're not realising that they're showing partially. My parents never did this a lot, and most of the time they either tried to give the best for both me and my brother, or just the minimum for both of us. As a kid, I hated that I couldn't enjoy or do something because of my younger brother, but as I got older, I appreciate that I had mature parents that never let themselves treat one better than the other, and did their best to give whatever they could to both of us. Best thing you can do is explain how you feel about it in a non-offending way. You might face some backlash, but they will remember how you felt and might change their course of action in the future. But be careful and don't say it if your parents are not mature enough to understand you." And I just think that that commenter makes such a good point, because, like, as a parent, you either give, like, all or nothing to your kids. Well, maybe not nothing, because you've still got to look after them, but you shouldn't be giving such disproportional amounts of love and affection to, like, your children. And yeah, OP, you should communicate with your parents and, like, you know, try and approach it in the nicest way possible. Say that you just don't feel like your birthday's that important because of constantly having to share it, and you want to feel like your birthday is just about you for once. And, I mean, yeah, if your parents are mature and good people, they'll understand that. But I do really hope that, like, one day the OP finds some really good friends that will just celebrate their birthday and make it seem really important, because they deserve to feel special on their birthday. Everyone does. Moving on from that, we've got a post from the user Unhappy Complaints 9677, and it's titled, "My dad left me out of his wedding because I'm autistic." I, 23F, have autism. I'm verbal, functional, and live independently, but I don't always pick up on social cues. I stim when I get anxious. I avoid eye contact. Sometimes I say things too bluntly. My dad knows all of this. He remarried last weekend. I wasn't invited. I found out from Facebook. When I messaged him asking what happened, he told me he didn't want me getting overstimulated or anxious and ruining the day. I asked why he didn't just ask me. He said, "I figured it was best this way." The worst part is, I wasn't even going to go. I knew his fiancée didn't like me, but I still wanted the choice to say no. I don't know what hurts me more, being excluded from a major family event or realising he still sees me as a burden after everything I've worked through. OP, in the nicest way possible, your dad is a bellend, man. It's the fact, like, he's babying you in a way, like, "Oh, I didn't invite you because you get overstimulated and anxious." Okay, but that's OP's decision. Like, it's not up to the dad to decide if OP's autism means that she can't come to this event and that she won't be able to handle it. She knows herself, and she knows if an event like that is something she can do or not. And autistic people are more than capable of making decisions based off of their own disability on whether or whether not they can handle a situation and whether they want to go. And the OP stated, like, she literally lives alone, so I think she's more than capable of going, "Yeah, wedding, not for me, I can't really hack that," or "Yeah, I'd want to go." And OP said, like, you know, she wouldn't have gone anyway, but it's the fact that they took away the right for her to, like, make that decision that's so upsetting. And I've got a sneaky suspicion that this weren't entirely the dad's decision. I think because you've stated that his fiancée doesn't like you, I think that's the real reason why he's excluded you from this event. I think his fiancée has stated her disapproval of you, and he's just gone along with it and said, "Okay, I won't invite her then." And then when you've confronted him, he probably didn't expect you to actually confront him on it, but he's just said, like, the first thing that's come to mind. But OP, as awful as this is, and as horrible as I can imagine it would feel to be excluded, especially, like, for these reasons, there is a silver lining to this. You now know where you stand with your father and that bit of the family, because if you think about it as well, like, those people who were at his wedding, who were your family, didn't say anything, that's probably worse. But now you can't, like I said, you know where you stand with them now, and you now have, like, enough information to make a decision on whether you want them in your life or not. And to be completely honest, I don't think that they're worthy people to have in your life. Our next post is by Wild Owl 297, and it's titled, "I wasn't scared, I was just being careful, but somehow that made me the lame one and coward." So yeah, we went into this crusty abandoned house. Not even creepy in a fun way, like legit needles on the floor, random unopened drinks, joint on the ground. Felt like someone legit lives there or something, I don't know. I didn't go in, just stood outside like, nope. I wasn't trying to be dramatic, just had a weird gut feeling. Everyone else went in like it's a haunted escape room or whatever. Then later my girl goes, "You kinda ruined it." Like, okay, cool, guess I'm lame now for not wanting to risk hepatitis. I wasn't trying to ruin anything, I just didn't feel like dying via mystery needle or disturbing someone's squat. And yeah, I waited, outside, like the only person using their brain, and I didn't want to start drama in front of the group, but later I asked her, like, "For real, why say that to me?" And I don't know, it got under my skin. Not like full meltdown or anything, but it chipped me a bit. I know I was right, but it still made me feel like the buzzkill guy. The guy who kills the mood, just saying nah. But for real, why do people get mad when someone's just like, "Hey, maybe this place that smells like mould and trauma isn't for me"? Not ghosts I'm worried about, bro. It's the bacteria. Anyway, didn't yell, didn't shame anybody, just had a tiny boundary, and somehow I'm the lame one again. Kinda feeling bad over just using common sense. Okay, I must say I really like OP's descriptive writing here. It was thoroughly entertaining to read this, but on to the point. If we look past the fact that OP's written this like a comedy sketch, I think they're completely in the right here. Like, so what if it makes you lame because you don't want to go into a sketchy building and potentially get murdered? Probably, like, yeah, for the best, you know? Like, I'm going to point out the obvious. The fact that there's needles and that type of stuff lying around in this place means that people are doing drugs in here. Which one? Means that you could accidentally prick yourself on one of those needles, you know, cross-contamination, you could contract a disease. Or two, there could be someone high off their face on God knows what running around who could attack you. And there are potentially, like, homeless people living in this abandoned building because that's not uncommon. And a lot of the time, like, these homeless people who live in these places hate urban explorers with a passion because these annoying ass people come in, they're loud, they attract attention of police, the police come, and then the people who are using that place as like a sanctuary because they got nowhere else, they get kicked out and they get into trouble. And like, because of this, if like homeless people are in there, they could potentially react quite violently to you being in there because, you know, you're ruining their like peace and their respite from the outside world. And not just that, like, these old buildings, they're dangerous, like, on a structural level. Like, depending on how old this building is, the floors may not be stable. Like, what if you go upstairs and just fall through the bloody floor, and then, you know, you end up with tetanus because you're all scratched up and poked by all the crap that's just lying around? And if it smells like mould, there's probably mould growing there, which obviously we all know is very bad for your lungs. And even if you're in there for a short amount of time, like, that's not going to make you feel very good. You're probably going to get sick just from going in there. And all the dust, and you said it's a house, an old house. Potentially there's asbestos in that place as well, like, you don't know. And then there is just also the fact that if you get caught doing this, like, you can actually, like, get into so much legal trouble, and it's just not worth it to go into a place and go, wow, look, it's abandoned. Like, do you really want to get arrested over going into an old, ugly building? And I may sound completely boring, but this is coming from the viewpoint of someone who actually has gone into abandoned buildings, and at the time I thought it was sick as hell. I was like, wow, we're doing this, everyone's going to be so jealous at school. But now when I look back, I'm like, Jesus Christ, do I have a death wish? I'm so lucky to be alive. And OP, it's completely fair and valid for so many reasons for you to go, no, I don't want to go in here, that's not really my cup of tea, mate. And they've got no right to make you out like you're really boring just because you don't want to do something dangerous that has absolutely zero benefits. Because it ain't like you're going to go in there and you're going to uncover some grand treasure and become millionaires. The only thing you're going to find in there is certain death or a very angry homeless person. So, OP, screw your friends, they suck, man. You don't want to go in there. Fine, you didn't, smart, you stuck to your guns. And they've got no right to be making you out like you're really boring. That's not, like, what a good friend would do. A good friend would be like, okay, you know, like, oh good, you don't want to join in, fine. I think, OP, you should be investing your time in finding some better mates, because the friends you've got right now suck. They're just pushy and they're rude. Like, if I was doing something and my friend was like, I don't really feel like doing this, I'd be like, yeah, that's fine, chill, like, I'll catch you later. You know, like, good friends don't try and pressure you into doing something that you're not comfortable with, and good friends certainly don't shame you for not doing something you're not comfortable with. But guys, with that, I'm going to end it here. That'll be the last story of the episode today. I hope that you've had a good time. We've had some pretty good stories today. Some were a bit, like, miserable, but then others were quite entertaining. You know, the usual drill. But if you've watched up until this point, thank you so much. And if you've enjoyed this video today, do feel free to leave a like and a comment on this video and subscribe, and then you can get more videos like this. But until next time, bye bye.